still trying to look. His friend loses the phone. He's still looking for the phone, and so then the kids are in his face. So there's one moment, and this is where Dawson was disagreeing with me. He is walking away, but then it looks like the kids float to him. Okay, once again, and I know we're live on air. Thank you guys for joining us. We're just getting to the bottom. Can you hold on 1 second? We're getting to the bottom of this story and Apple River stabbing, because we're not going to talk about it on the show. Anyhow, the point is,
Yeah.
what's a hang? We can do this. We don't have to start with the same thing every time, right? Can we not do that? Plus, we don't have much of a show today. Anyhow, what are we going to talk about? Just kidding. We got really good stuff for you guys. Anyhow, it's interesting. You can see both sides of it. I'm not taking a stance here. But Dawson, you don't want Dawson on your jury because all he can see is guilt, guilt, guilt. This guy was guilty. Basically, the guy can't be on the river that day with a knife and not be guilty, according to Dawson.
That's incredibly reductive, but you're on the right track.
See, I'm on the right track. That's exactly it. We get to the truth here on The Truth Hurts. Welcome back to you guys. Thank you for see. They got me going. You know, Bridget was asking questions, and she's like, I haven't followed the whole story. So I just gave you the whole trial within that last 5 minutes, right? By the way, I haven't even watched the whole trial. I mean, what time do I have? This is how I'm falling asleep at night, watching, like, catching up, and it's usually this lawyer that's the lawyer you know is doing it. I think he's a Wisconsin lawyer. It's very fascinating stuff. Once again, not taking a side on it. I just think it's interesting because the video doesn't prove one side or the other. So it leaves all this stuff for speculation. There's nothing political about this trial that I can tell. Although the media initially wanted to say this guy was a Trump supporter. So I think they've backed away from that. Maybe it's not even true. Who knows? All right. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Truth Hurts, where we expose corrupt politicians lying corporate media and talk about trials that matter to you. Actually, there is some president talking about trials. I don't know how we won't be talking about the Maddie Kingsbury trial coming up here it'll be sometime this fall. Adam Fravel, the father of her two children, the alleged murderer, that we'll be talking about that for sure.
Are you claiming that one's self-defense too?
He's no, that's not self-defense. Obviously, that one he's gonna have to claim he didn't do it, right? And somehow there's some mystery person that committed this crime and had access to the house and all that stuff that's roaming free, and there's no evidence suggests there's anyone else that was involved here. That'll be a very interesting trial, and it hits home because we know Maddie's aunt and uncle, and they've been on the show. All right, big supporters. Joining me as usual, Mr. Maga Jesse. How you doing there, Jesse?
Doing good. Yeah, we got a great show here. We're going to be talking about the Minnesota Department of Human Services giving grants to, quote, new Americans, a.k.a. illegal immigrants. We're also going to be talking about banning children in content creation. Aaron May Quaid has an interesting bill that we can discussed. We're also going to be talking about Trump's stance on abortion, him trashing Lindsey Graham, an Otter Tail County update, and we got some big news for the next episode. You're not going to want to miss it.
That's right. You will want to tune in on Thursday. If you guys want to join us at any time in the conversation, go to Rumble and click on the comment section. And if you want to interrupt us, hit Rumble Rant, and the lovely Bridget will read your comments. How you doing there, Bridget?
Sure will. Doing great. And we have Tucker says, good afternoon, everyone. Mark Kroll's hello. Gregory, you know, I don't know how to say that one all the time. Anyways, good afternoon, and Razzle Dazzles. Jesse is a star.
Hey, thank you.
What was that for?
I don't know, Jesse.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
It seemed I don't know what prompted the star. I mean, I agree
like
with
Jesse.
that. We're on the dials. Mr. Dawson, how you doing there, Mr. Deep State?
It's me. I'm doing good. I'm sentencing people to life and having a good time doing it.
All I'm going to say is don't put him on your jury. That would be a bad idea.
Don't give me jury duty or
That's actually, geez.
Yeah, that's right.
40 chess you just played. Now you have video proof that you shouldn't be on a jury.
Yeah.
There you go.
And it's on air.
By the way, I believe in jury nullification, where if you think a law is unjust, you can just find the person innocent. So there you go. I'm never on a jury.
Yeah.
That's a good comment.
We couldn't make this show possible without our great sponsors, Alpine Cabinetry in East St. Cloud. My good friend Warren Wessel of Warren Wessel Realty. You can go to warrenwessel.com to learn more about Warren and the homes he's got for sale. But if you're buying a home or selling a home, give Warren a call, 612-419-7453. Also sings in my church's choir. Fantastic singer. I actually don't know the I shouldn't say that because this is The Truth Hurts. He's in the choir. I don't hear him sing, and if I hear him sing, that's an impromptu solo because he's singing the wrong part. So I don't know. Maybe he's not that good of a singer. I assume he is because he's in the choir. You know who doesn't sing? The good guys at John Galt Mortgage Company. I have no idea. Tim, Andrew, do you guys sing? Maybe they do. But they got a damn good social media. John Galt Mortgage Company. When you're buying a home and you need financing, go to johngaltmortgage.com. There we go. Ads done. Get into the topic at hand. You guys have probably seen this story now because you guys all follow us on social media, right? Okay, maybe you didn't then. We wrote on Sunday night. The Minnesota Department of Human Services, let's go pull up the article on truthhurtsnews.com, is listing and encouraging people to apply for grants. And if you're in the long-term care industry, you know a little bit about that there, Bridget, right? Mm-hmm. That kind of industry, not doing too well right now in terms of workers. But here's what's interesting. They don't want just any workers. They want you to apply for a grant for hiring new Americans. And they define new Americans as people born abroad and their children regardless of immigration status. I mean, if that's just not another way to say illegal immigrant, right?
Wait, this is only for people working in long-term care?
This is, well, you know what? It's a fair point. All I know is this one is about long-term care. You would imagine if they did this for long-term care, they're probably doing it for other different kind of industries, right?
Yeah.
But this one's specifically for long-term care. Scroll down there for me, Dawson. This is on the Department of Human Services website. I just checked the link right before we went live because I was wondering, did they cut it out yet? Actually, let's do it. Let's do it live right now. You see in the first paragraph we've got it linked. Yeah, let's just make sure they haven't changed it because that's always fun when we do our show and then we find that they've changed the policy, like the masking at Children's Mercy. Or Children's Minnesota, not Children's Mercy. I'm thinking of Kansas City. Let's see here. So under grant opportunities, it says to support new Americans in the long-term care workforce. New Americans are people born abroad and their children, regardless of immigration status. Okay, it's still up on their website. Now, they actually go on to talk about where this policy comes from. DHS is support. Scroll down on the bottom of this page, and you can find this through the links on their website. Nope, sorry, go back to our website there, Dawson. Scroll to the bottom. DHS is supporting new Americans in the long-term care workforce grant. This is information due May 6th of 2024. DHS is supporting new Americans in long-term care workforce grant through its Grants, Equity, Access, and Research Division, GEAR, if you will, has authority to enter grant contracts that will increase the number and ability of new Americans to obtain, maintain, and grow in the long-term care workforce while supporting LTC organizations. The term of the initial grant period is anticipated to be from August 1st, 2024 through July 31st, 2026. Your tax money being used to hire illegal immigrants. Are we really in a position that it's that bad where we can't find people in long-term care and we're literally just going to break the federal immigration laws and hire those people? And we don't just hire those people. We give taxpayers money to those people to support their hiring. By the way, what did I just see? I saw a story this morning about, was it a government entity that is no longer requiring social security numbers? Did you see the story today?
I don't think so.
What do you think about this, Jesse?
About the illegals, yeah, it's unbelievable that, it just shows that the Democrats, of course, they have preference of illegal immigrants over our own American citizens. Even some Democrats have even admitted that on TV. They've said that the most precious people we care about are the illegals crossing the border. So they obviously care most about the illegals. They don't care about the American citizen, especially when the inflation is killing everybody. The economy is terrible. Joe Biden is sending all of our money overseas when all of our own American people could use the most help. That's when Minnesota and the Democrats here decide that's when we need to help out the illegals. Instead of helping out the people who have been here the entire time, making America what it is, they'd rather help out the illegal immigrants who broke the law to get here in the first place.
Okay, I just figured out what I saw. I was on Minnesota Reformer, which is a liberal rag. The bill they're referring to, let's see, the article is called Senate Passes Tenants' Right Legislation, GOP.
Oh, I saw a headline on that, right.
Squatters. This is actually an interesting story, too, and I didn't have it in our show notes. This was I was watching the Senate floor session yesterday. The bill also requires landlords to accept individual taxpayer ID numbers, ITINSs, in place of Social Security numbers on rental applications and bans discrimination against people who use UTINs. Who do you think they're referring to there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unless they're talking about sovereign citizens who have rejected their social security number, which actually there is a process for citizens to do that. It's not a very common thing, and a very small number of people do it, and it only just it usually just causes you more problems than it ends up doing.
If you reject your social security number, then you technically wouldn't pay social security taxes, right?
I believe so, right. It's a very complicated process, and I don't know the full details of it, but I know that there's individuals out there
who learn
do that.
the process.
Well,
here.
but
That's
the problem is
15.3% of my tax money.
Exactly, but there's all kinds of, they give you a replacement ID number, but it's it just makes applications and other things difficult because it's sometimes not an applicable number, and so it just forces you with more hurdles. So I don't know. Maybe there's benefit to doing it.
I save on the self-employment tax, which is 15% of my income.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's someone to look up then.
Might be worth it.
People can look it up for themselves then. I've thought about myself, but I think I'd rather keep my social security number than not. So,
statist.
Yeah, I guess so. But you got one too, so we'll see. But yeah, people can look it up for themselves if they want to eliminate their social security number.
Minnesota Reformer goes on to say around a quarter of Minnesota's 81,000 undocumented residents file taxes using an I-10, a number issued by the IRS and creditors to identify taxpayers who don't have a social security number. And we're not talking about sovereign citizens, apparently. The language prohibiting discrimination on the basis of I-10s is a priority of the session for Latino advocacy groups, which also want to pass similar laws regarding banking and utilities. It's impossible to keep track of everything the Democrats are up to. Go to my Twitter page. You're going to see a graphic, Dawson, about the Democrat creed that we came up with yesterday. Let's go to the comment section here before I bring this up.
Alley Cat says another way to say F you American taxpayers. Mm-hmm. And she also says that illegals are getting a taxpayer number. I guess that's maybe what you were just saying. Uh-huh. So Tucker's asking about the eclipse, a little off topic for now, but...
If illegals are getting taxpayer numbers, are they then paying taxes? I don't know how that works.
That's what I was just thinking, actually. I'm like, okay, if they're getting a tax number, do they pay taxes too?
Well, supposedly of the illegals that are getting a tax number, how many of them actually are? How many of them are documenting themselves? How many of them are going to the courts? I'd imagine it's a very small number of them. And then how many of them actually follow through and pay the taxes that they owe? Probably also a very small number.
At that point, that's tax evasion, which is just a different issue, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. If someone's paying taxes in the U.S. and lives in the U.S.
illegally,
right? But if it's illegal, why do people not like illegals in the first place? Is it because they don't pay taxes?
No, it's because we have to have a nation of laws, and we don't want criminals running through our border, especially when we have all these other countries opening their prisons, releasing them into our country because Biden is opening the border, and everybody knows it. So, of course we can't have illegal immigration. It throws off our elections, and it throws off everything. It throws off our economy. You can have cheap labor instead of having to use Americans. So it destroys the economy, and
I'd almost like to see in the next upcoming years. I'm like, they're gonna all take our jobs.
Mm-hmm. We need a complete pause and stop on the border. We can't, maybe for a couple of years we can't take any new immigrants. We've hit our max, and it's time to just focus on our own country.
Well, I look at it from an economic and then a security standpoint. The economic is that I want people to come here and participate in good things in our economy. But you can't be a drain on the economy, and you're going to be a drain on the economy if you're asking for subsidization and welfare and stuff like that. They're literally getting subsidized subsidized housing. But number two is you can't have a bunch of military-aged men coming across the border without being checked. That's a problem. That's how you actually have sleeper cells inside the United States committing potential, terrorist attacks on us. And we know we caught an Al-Shabaab terrorist in Minneapolis. This is not like just some dream. This is literally happening.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, Alley Cat goes on. Dearborn Muslim Brotherhood is chanting "Death to America." I saw that in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you could find left-wingers that just normally live here that would call that same thing. I mean, that's the other problem is I also look at the biggest threat to America is the politicians that even are born and raised here because they think like people from other places in the world, like European Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
Pull up this graphic on Twitter. This is scroll down here, you'll see it. Keep going. That's me bragging about getting UConn right. There you go. Click on that right there, Dawson. So if we take the major Minnesota Democrat bills this session, okay, and last session, This is the creed that I came up with. You fact check me, okay, Jesse?
Yep.
You know this about as good as anyone, right? So a Minnesota Democrat, as a Minnesota Democrat, I believe that a 6-year-old child has the ability to determine his own gender, and we should allow doctors to prescribe irreversible hormone treatments and surgically affirm his new gender.
Yep.
That's correct?
That's what they believe.
That's a bill, right? Sanctuary state bill for transgender surgery. Okay. Number 2, that a baby born from a botched abortion does not have a right to live despite being born alive.
That's what they believe.
Fact check good? Okay. Number 3, that pedophilia is a sexual orientation protected by the Minnesota Human Rights Act. Is that correct?
Yep.
3 for 3. What's so funny, Dawson?
I think it's funny that you're asking Jesse.
I'm just going to confirm everything.
No, if I get something wrong, tell me I got it
Well,
right.
I don't think you'd post a graphic of
T-Wall for life
misinformation.
says, did a proud Democrat write this?
T-Wall for life. I wish it would be really good. No, I made this looking at the bills that they've got in the hopper that are getting traction or that already passed. And so you would have to say that this is what these people believe in because this is what they're voting for.
Did you make the background for this?
I did. What do you think? You like
Did
it?
you really?
Why?
Looks like the Northern Lights.
Is it pretty
Kind
good?
of.
I'm impressed by
Thank
the
you.
technical skill that's
Thank
behind
you.
this.
I'll show you my trick later, okay,
Well,
Dawson?
I don't need it, but
No, you're going to
thanks.
laugh your ass off when I show you.
Oh, that's scary.
Oh, it's going to be funny.
I'm ready.
It's...
Did you literally just find that picture? and
No,
paste
I
it on
did
top?
not just find that. It's even worse.
If Jake sat me
Wow.
down and said, "Here, I looked up on Google cool background."
Just, oh, Dawson, you're gonna laugh your ass off. But yes, I'm technically this good at photos or at developing images. Okay, number 5. What's that?
There's an interesting 507 Patriot MN says he just had dinner with 2 Blue Earth County Human Service employees who say their funds for all of 2024 will be used and gone depleted within 4 months due to immigration.
Yeah, that's another thing
That's
is the
crazy.
strain on the current system, which, by the way, not a problem for Democrats. We'll just print more money, right? Number 5, number 4, if you're a Minnesota Democrat, I believe that people who broke the law immigrating to our country deserve to be here and receive taxpayer-funded subsidies.
Yep.
You can't deny that one. They literally want a sanctuary state bill. Here's proof. The department. By the way, are there Republicans in the Department
I
of
know,
Human
and
Services?
all it takes is Texas or Florida to say, you know what, Minneapolis, you guys like those illegals so much? Let's give you guys some busloads.
Right.
And you know what? I was driving around in Minneapolis maybe a week ago, maybe a week and a half ago. There's this corner that's kind of infamous. It's got all these tents and everything. All the homeless are there. There had to have been 50 to 75 Mexicans. It looked like they were all standing on this one street corner. I don't know where they all came from. Looked like they all had just gotten dropped off. But I think we got busloads being dropped off in our own state because I don't understand how all these people who all were Hispanic all just happened to be in the same exact location on the same street corner in Minneapolis. How did that happen? I don't know. But I got the hell out of there. I wish I just started taking some pictures, but I thought I'm not sticking around here to find out.
I mean, no doubt it's making its way up to Minnesota. I don't think we have the brunt of it, but I'm once again not so worried about the Mexicans coming over for economic activity. I'm worried about the people that they call them other than Mexicans, right? The people from the Middle East, the Chinese people. We put on this show, 60 Minutes, did a special on Chinese coming across the border. Mm-hmm. Number 6, as a Minnesota Democrat, I believe. What is so funny?
Are you laughing at Andy Parrish?
What's he saying?
He said, "Is that young woman Stanley the Lunar New Year equal limited edition?"
Yeah. Is that the lead edition? Is that the cool one?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm lost here. What did we?
He's just talking about my Stanley Cup.
Oh,
Yeah.
Stanley the Lunar New.
Good thing we didn't get those, Jake. Andy would have ripped into you probably.
Oh, I see. Is that woman Stanley the Lunar New Year equal limited edition?
mm-hmm.
It is not a limited edition as far as I
Andy's
know.
crazy. Okay. Do we want Andy on the show today?
Brad?
Andy, do you want to come on the show? Should we
Brad
send him
had
a
an
Zoom?
interesting comment too. He said the craziness has impacted daycare licensing as well. Providers are discouraged from using gendered language with toddlers. That's insane.
And actually, there's new
That's so dumb.
new child care vaccine mandates that the Democrats want to impose too, and that's another bill that people can read about in actionforliberty.com.
There you go. Okay, number 5. If I'm a Minnesota Democrat, I believe that Minnesotans are not paying enough in taxes.
And what are we, the 5th highest
Yes.
tax state?
It's worse
Or
when
something.
you put all taxes together.
Mm-hmm.
Agree? Is that
Yep.
fair, Jesse?
You got
Jesse's
it.
fact checking live here.
You got it.
All right, number 6, that biological males in Minnesota schools should be allowed to compete in female sports and use their locker rooms.
That's right. They even want to amend the state constitution to be able to do that.
There you go. And last but not least, number 7, I think it's 7. Yep, 7. As a Minnesota Democrat, I believe that a law-abiding citizen cannot store a readily available self-defense firearm in their home.
Yep, the storage laws are the most unbelievable and BS stuff that they've pushed.
Do you know how many things had to be cut out of this to make this fit into the graphic that I constructed from scratch?
I swear to God.
We got a new person in the comment section.
The KAC
Yeah.
2 says, check out the St. Cloud Airport at night. You might see illegals coming in.
Is this like?
I know.
Is this like some info you're feeding us
That's
here?
what I'm wondering.
It
Brad
sure
says,
sounds like it.
when is AP going to be on again?
Do you want to come on, Andy? Do you have Andy's email?
Why do I?
Or via Zoom right now,
yeah.
you're saying?
You want to? We'll bring him on.
I totally forget who Andy Parrish is.
You don't remember who Andy is?
Which one is that?
The guy that sounds like he belongs on radio. That was on like 2 weeks ago. My college buddy.
I'm so sorry. I hear a lot of names here. We can do it.
Do you also see people in your room? The room with you right now?
With me right now, yeah. We can get that set up.
By the way, if I go back to the Apple River, one of the people testifying from the state said that he didn't see the punch. So one of the things that was being contended is that he's the accused Nick Mew, I think is his name. He punched a woman, and that's why he got tackled to the ground, and then that's how he ended up stabbing people. It seems to me it'd be pretty interesting to find out if he was the first one to hit. So this guy says that Nick punched the woman in the face. He didn't see it, but he heard it, and he knows what it sounds like with a fist hitting a face. Very fascinating trial. Did you find his email, or do you want me to send it to you?
I'll have you send it to me.
Okay, I'll send it to you.
T-Wall says you need to add the housing laws being proposed to that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this is interesting. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say I'm still reviewing that bill myself, but yeah, no, there's some bad stuff in there, and that's got Republican support, Rhino support, and in both the House and Senate. So anytime there's a bipartisan bill, it's usually bad.
And this is what's so interesting is to create that graphic. There's so many things that didn't make it. They had to get cut. There's so much more. You know what I mean? Now, so much we could talk about, especially if I could talk about the Electoral College. Right.
Should we try to get through our stories first?
No. We'll bring Andy in there. Andy's good at third wheeling. He's a professional.
Does he still do radio?
No, he doesn't. We haven't done radio since 88.7 KTF, KRFK, or whatever the hell it was.
Well, so what does Andy do besides going shopping for
He does this and that, a little this and that. He does shopping online and reselling stuff.
I gotcha.
I don't know. He does other things. Just, that's all with Andy, we don't talk about work too often. He still thought I was the president of Action for Liberty on the last show, right? So it's like, we don't talk about work. We talk about other things. But he's one of those guys that like buys, weird things online and then finds ways to resell it. Like that's his hobby. That's such a weird thing. I would not want to do that. It's not interesting. But I know probably a lot of people in our audience do. All right, so that's the creed that I came up with. That's what Minnesota Democrats believe in. If we go back to this Department of Human Services, why would we be shocked by this? I actually saw the story. I'm like, it's just more proof of their insanity, but I am not one bit shocked at all that they're just openly broadcasting we're hiring illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
And that, I don't know if you've ever heard the term
instead of caring
New
about
American.
people who were lost their job because of vaccine mandates or something BS like that. Instead of taking care of those people, they're bringing in the illegals.
Right.
It shows who their audience is.
Exactly. Yeah, Andy, we're gonna send you a link if you can sign on. Just come on to the show. And I don't know if T-Well's talking about that same bill. Jeez, where did my article go? But this was the bill SF 3492. I guess it's not really a house. Well, it's called Residential Housing Tenant and Landlord Provisions Modification. This is sponsored by Mohammed in the Senate with Port and Fa. How do you say her name?
Pa.
Is it really Pa?
I think so.
And it actually passed yesterday. I call this like the Communist Manifesto of residential and rental properties in Minnesota.
Wait, that's not the bill with Draheim on it.
No.
Then I'm talking about a different bill.
Well, and it's funny because we don't have these all straight, right? There's so many. This bill literally gives it's basically allowing a bunch of tenants to join together in a union to force landlords' hands at the table, and then it's got a bunch of regulations on landlords. What?
That's
What?
so-
I kind of like that.
Of course you like that, Dawson.
Yeah.
Am I shocked
Yeah.
at all that he likes that one?
Okay, to be fair, my entire college experience was getting fucked over by every single landlord I ever had to live with.
Do you know what every landlord on college, and I'm not saying that all landlords are great, obviously, but with their experiences of renting homes to college students.
I'm sure it's bad, but we were great.
Speaking of renting homes to college students, Andy and I rented a college or a home. The guy thought we always paid on time. I mean, for 8 guys that lived in the house, we were actually pretty damn responsible.
You had 8
So-
in one house?
I think so, something like that. 7, 6. I don't know. We had a pool table.
Our max was 7. We couldn't fit any more in, unfortunately.
By the way, it was the Republican house. We were the college Republicans back then. Oh, it's so funny.
Were Republicans better back then?
No.
No, because we supported George W. Bush. I mean, how much do you regret that one? It modifies things on late fees. By the way, if I could just give you a broad brush on this bill, which most Republicans were against, it just is regulation after regulation on tenants and landlords. Or,
Okay, do we
basically
have-
landlords. What's that?
Failed candidate. I thought that was Brad.
It is Brad.
So he's just 2. So he says, my hobby is to swim in secluded Minnesota lakes searching for people's lost gun collections.
Hopefully you're not in that Apple Valley River one, though, because...
Well, I don't know why it's a secluded lake.
Muds looks like a new person in the comments. Says, Mexicans have been coming to Long Prairie, Minnesota since mid-90s to the Long Prairie packing. Signs at the border for jobs at Long Prairie, Minnesota from the owners in the 90s.
Oh, your message was too long. It got cut off.
I was like,
I don't know
yeah,
why
I'm
Rebel
kind of
does that.
confused. But
By
it's
the way,
saying exactly.
if I have no problem with Mexicans coming here the right way to go work and do jobs that maybe other people don't
And
want
they're
to do,
usually
no
actually
problem
really hard
whatsoever.
workers.
Right? Just got to come here the right way. You got to have laws here. Okay, so going back through this bill, it's 3492, tenant right to organize tenant associations. It says residential tenants of a residential building have the right to establish and operate a tenant association for the purpose of addressing issues related to their living environment, which includes the terms and conditions of their tenancy, as well as activities related to housing and community development. Owners of residential rental units and their agents must allow residential tenants and tenant organizers to conduct activities related to the establishment or organization of a residential tenant organization, including, now this is where it's crazy. It says they must allow them to, the first one is distribute information on leaflets in the common areas of the residential building, including bulletin or community boards. Distribute information or leaflets to individuals within a residential building. Initiating contact with tenants through mail, telephone. So once again, it's like, well, what if you don't, leave the landlord, leave private associations alone. We're going to get into a bill that's up at the Capitol, and you'll probably not hear anyone else talking about it, that messes with content creators. I would say like us, but we don't have children in our content, so it's a little different. That's what they're going at, is people that have children in their content, and they're acting like they're all high and mighty. We'll have a little discussion. Dustin might take a different stance on this. But anyhow, they got to mess with everything, and in this case, they're trying to mess with landlords and tenants. It also says that you can't have, basically a victim of a sexual assault cannot be evicted.
That's crazy.
It is.
So broad.
Yeah,
what are they trying to do there? I don't get it.
I'm trying to find the language here real quick. Sorry, I should have this ready to go, but honestly, this wasn't on my show notes. So
On Twitter, sexual abuse is somebody touching somebody's arm in the wrong ways. I don't get it. What
Is
are
it
they
really?
trying to say? Twitter's fucking crazy, dude.
does this mean that Gene Carroll can't be kicked out of an apartment?
You're like an actual Batman.
I thought it was sexual.
I was actually
heart
wondering if
attack.
Dawson.
I'm sorry, I'm doing this on the fly.
Napkin 8 says clearing the way for BlackRock to buy up everything.
Yeah. That is ultimately the plan.
Landlord may not commence an eviction action against a residential tenant who has terminated a lease as provided in section 504B, which talks about a victim of, oh God, Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's one of those. As a victim in 504B206 subdivision 1. All right, so I'm not going to get a quick answer on this one. Go rate yourself 3492. I think at this point you understand. Bill, probably not that good, right? 3 Republicans voted for it. Jim Abler, Julia Coleman, and Karen Housley. So there you go.
Really, they're usually so principled, though. You know, I usually think of Jim Abler, I think of Julia Coleman, and I think of Karen Housley as the standard bearers of conservatism in our state. Are you telling me that they're not? Are you telling me that they're rhinos who vote for the Democrat bills? I can't believe that for a second. You're telling me that those 3 conservatives are siding with the Democrats. Give me a break. This is, hold on. That's just ridiculous. I mean, I don't expect much of them, but it's unbelievable that they show their cards for what they are.
And folks, that is sarcasm. That's how you talk in sarcasm. This is section 5. I'm sorry, I totally forgot. I got so off track on why we even went to this bill in the first place. It's section 5. It says individual taxpayer identification number. A landlord must provide on rental application the option for a prospective tenant to submit an individual taxpayer ID number or a social security number as follows: SSN or ITIN. A landlord must not deny a rental application solely because the prospective tenant provided an individual taxpayer ID number. Nothing in this section prevents a landlord from denying an application if the consumer credit report attached to an individual taxpayer identification number is insufficient. And as we know, the spirit of this is to make sure that illegal immigrants can rent from these buildings. 3 Republicans, as you just said, voted on. Let's go to the comment section.
Alley Cat says, Jim is in my district. I'll be calling him. Jesse says, Razzle Dazzles, those are proven and true rhinos.
Yep.
And then Alley Cat says,
I think we need to start calling him Jim Enabler,
Yeah,
because he
Alley Cat said
enables the
Jim
Democratic
Enabler.
agenda. Jim
Yeah.
Enabler.
I think we did call him that back in COVID for some reason. I think he was enabling something.
Oh, of course, yeah. It perfectly fits.
If you want to get away with this insanity on landlords versus tenants, go buy a home through Warren Wessel Realty. And if you need financing for that home, John Galt Mortgage Company, the good men over there at John Galt and ladies, good men and ladies at John Galt Mortgage Company, doing a fantastic job financing homes. And our sponsors this great show. Is Andy responding? Andy, you still in the comment section? We sent you a Zoom link, so if you want to...
he's not on Zoom yet.
Okay. Well, if you want to join Andy, love to have you. I should have probably thought of that ahead of time. Boy, show prep really bad today, huh?
Imagine not doing it mid-show.
Well, we ended up 45 minutes in show prep today discussing the trial on the Apple River, and I'm just like dumbfounded how Dawson has already determined guilt off, like, I don't know, a couple facts. I know, like
just what you've told me. Have you told me incorrect stuff?
No, I'm only telling you facts there, buddy.
Okay, there we go.
I just think that it's interesting. You thought the guy should run away. He should have known that they were going to yell at him, and before he even went on the river that day, he should have ran away. By the way, I'm not saying I actually think this guy is going to get off for self-defense. I just think it's crazy how quickly you were to draw that conclusion.
Yeah, I take stances. That's what I'm known for around here.
All right, let's bring up the next article on Truth Hurts News. Yes, Razzle Dazzle. I need Andy to come save the program for us. Andy, help me out. I got to bring him in. It's tag team, right? Oh, is that what they call it in your pro wrestling?
In my pro wrestling, yep. That's what they call it.
Well, that's what we ended up. I was like, should we talk about The Rock today?
Yeah, the show prep moved to WrestleMania talk, so
it did. It literally happened. You know,
it was a
Bridge
great
is not in
WrestleMania.
show
It was
prep.
a great WrestleMania.
Yeah,
for anyone in the comments that saw it, it was a great WrestleMania.
Bridget, were you watching it?
No.
See, Bridget doesn't participate in show prep. She actually has a life, and unlike the rest of us, just kidding. I guess Dawson, you're stuck here. I'm stuck here. Jesse, I don't know what your excuse is. Actually, we need you at show prep. Don't you dare go anywhere. We need you. Anyhow, it went into WrestleMania, my favorite topic. This is no story on Truth Hurts News. Okay, so let me bring up the topic, and then let's discuss. And I'd love to hear what you guys have to say at home, because this is an interesting one. I'm not saying the Democrats are completely off on this, because there's obviously some real disgustingness when it comes to children being used in content creation. However, like a lot of things, it's almost impossible to legislate, and therefore good contents can be taken away. So this is on truthhurtsnews.com. Democrat Senator's bill bans some wholesome online content creation, decries sexual exploitation of minors despite her past. That is Erin May Quaid from Apple Valley, who is the Senate author. There's actually a companion bill in the House. SF 3496 is moving through the Democrat-controlled Minnesota legislature that would prohibit content creators from having children in their content, a totally harmless activity in most cases. Popular shows like The Outdoor Boys, which is what we watch, me and my sons, because, by the way, it's done by a guy who has 3 children and loves things like we do in the outdoors, would no longer be able to have content featuring children under 14 that makes up 30% or more of the month's content. So this is how it's defined in this bill. Compensation for internet. Oh, by the way, the bill's design initially was that if you're going to have children in your content, you have to put money aside into a special trust for them. And you have to keep these accounting records. It's actually quite burdensome when you look at this kind of stuff. So the bill says minors featured in content creation. Minor is considered engaged in the work of content creation when the following criteria are met at any time during the previous 12-month period. Number 1, at least 30% of the content creator's compensated content produced within a 30-day period included the likeness, name, or photograph of the minor. Content percentage is measured by the percentage of time the likeness, name, or photograph of the minors visually appears or a subject of an oral narrative in a segment as compared to the total length of the segment. And number 2, the number of views received on any online platform met the online platform's threshold for generating compensation, or the content creator received actual compensation for the content equal to the greater than 1 cent per view. Now, Dawson, I'm just going to show real quick the Outdoor Boys. You see that link up there? That links to their YouTube. You guys familiar with Outdoor Boys?
Mm-mm.
It's fun. Yeah. This guy, now he lives in Alaska.
Oh,
he was a lawyer.
So cool.
Yeah. Does a lot of fishing. Does some hunting. He hunts like ptarmigan or something like that. See that one with the crab? That's their recent video. You can just click on that real quick.
I have to turn off audio for.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Stuff. You'll just see there's this kid. That's his middle child. There's this kid pulling crab out of the ice. Because up in Nome, Alaska, they're shooting ptarmigan. They're eating crab. See how much the kid is part of this film? Okay, you get the gist of it. This is great, right? This is great because it teaches parents like myself things that you could do with your children, good wholesome stuff like taking your children outdoors, making them a part of your hobbies. Okay, anyone take issue with that?
No.
Mm-mm.
Harmless, wholesome, good. Okay,
Nope.
Good for society, in my opinion. By the way, the guy is a devout Mormon. It took me probably a month after watching the films realizing, oh, they always go to church on Sunday and they always wear the white shirt. And I was like, and they know people all over the world. They go like Japan.
Yeah,
and then I realized,
Mormons.
oh yeah, they're Mormons. Because they went to, I think they went to, what's the college in Utah?
Brigham Young
Brigham Young.
University.
Yep. So anyhow, what they're doing here, so they ended up in a labor committee, and I think this was on Thursday. May Quaid is talking about the bill, and she offers an amendment, and this amendment then says a minor under the age of 14 is prohibited from engaging in the work of content creation as provided in paragraph A, what we just read. And if incidentally a child is used in the content creation, then they get 100% of the proceeds of the compensation that the creator got. So let's say, now the interesting thing about the Outdoor Boys, and this is just a small example of a ton of people that create content, right? We're obviously content creators. We just don't have children in our thing. But let's say I brought my children in and they were part of the show, and that would be outlawed by this bill, and all compensation for the show would have to go to the children. Guess you'd be out of a job there, Dawson. There you go. Wow. We wouldn't be able to advertise anymore. We couldn't build the show. But the idea behind this is there is disgusting stuff out there using children. We all understand that, right? The question is how do you legislate that, and who are the high and mighty talking about this stuff? So let's go to this video of Miss Erin May Quaid, who is probably the least bit of authority on the topic of child exploitation.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Keep talking.
Isn't she the one that was supporting the gender reaffirming surgery stuff?
Oh, of course. Yeah,
Like,
she
speaking
definitely
to
voted
that?
for that.
Mm-hmm. Feel
Oh,
free
my
to
God.
skip
Look at these
this
ads.
ad because we're
What? Can I have like a way around this?
No, that's how we get
we're
paid.
seeing occur more and more is the online exploitation of children, particularly the online grooming and sexual predation of our children. The New York Times recently did an investigation
Literally what
and
she's
uncovered
advocating.
that even though children under the age of 13 aren't able to open their own social media accounts, some parents have gotten around this issue by opening and running accounts featuring their children, predominantly their young daughters. These accounts can generate hundreds of thousands of followers, many of whom are men and or sexual predators and convicted pedophiles. Because bigger followings means better brand deals, which means more money, the content that is posted of these young children as young as 4 often is suggestive. Children eating bananas, for example, using the bathroom. And it also leads to parents doing things like offering private conversations with their children as young as 2, 3, 4 for pay, or selling their leotards to unknown people on the internet.
All
In
right, just
Minnesota,
pause it
we
real
have
quick.
had child labor.
I
But-
mean, that's freaking disgusting. You know, I mean, like that. The problem is she's identifying a real issue here, right? I think a lot of us could kind of look at some content and go, that's disgusting, right? So it's like,
Jake,
how
I'm
do
here.
you legislate getting rid of that, which is very subjective, and I'll show you how subjective it is in just a second, with also not hurting people, good wholesome channels like the Outdoor Boys. So is it subjective? I would say it is subjective. Let's continue on, because here's where Erin McQuaid, I would argue,
Yeah, and Andy
also is
jumped
for
on the
sexual
call.
exploitation of children.
Andy's
What's
on.
I
that?
heard Andy on the call too, so just so you know,
Okay, just
he's
hold
here.
on. Let's finish this video, and then we'll get Eddie's comments.
Sorry, I have to juggle a lot of stuff.
No worries.
labor laws for a long time. You can't work in the state of Minnesota under the age of 14, with a few exceptions, right? Delivering a newspaper or nannying, babysitting, youth sports, refereeing, those kinds of things. And so this comes back to the Labor Committee today because we want to ensure that children under the age of 14 are also not working as content creators for money online. And
You guys remember this? This was the drag performance at the Capitol in front of children, and there you go. There's a happy, cheering Erin May Quaid as this person's dancing sexually in front of many, many minors in attendance, as you can see them in the audience. I don't know what kind of crazy parents these are that put them. All right, I can't even watch this disgusting
And I'm
crap.
guessing she voted for, and didn't she advocate for all the sexual reaffirming stuff and talk to that?
Oh, 100%.
yeah,
And
definitely
then probably
did.
voted for the pedophile to be a legal sexual orientation.
Right, and that's the interesting part there, because she's obviously
like,
being
but-
a total hypocrite. Erin May Quaid
Yeah.
is, but
I thought pedophiles
but
were
at
okay.
the same time, some of the points that she's raising within that testimony there are accurate. Some of what
Yeah.
she's saying is truthful. And
it's just very hypocritical
And the way that I'm
from her.
thinking about it is that if we could, I would maybe even support a law if she was saying that we want to make suggestive content and products illegal. I'm getting another car warranty phone call. So my car's extended warranty is up, I'm sure. But Erin May Quaid, she's making a decent point there on several things. If there are those, if there's these accounts for, especially for little girls, if there's all these creepy guys that are buying their used clothes and all kinds of creepy stuff like that, of course we don't want that kind of stuff going on. And I wouldn't even be opposed to certain laws to prevent that, because we have to prevent the sexual.
How do you write? That's the question, though. How do you write that law?
Right, exactly. It's very complicated, and you'd have to have a very specific definition of suggestive content and sexual exploitation, because if we were to apply the law as it maybe should be, Erin May Quaid and her type of activities with the drag queens and everything, that would not be suitable for children. That's obviously sexually exploitive. So there maybe could be certain laws to do this, but I don't like the regulation of this. I don't like the requiring the required reporting of the monetization and everything like that. It sounds like it's just going to cause problems, but for the most part, I don't like parents that use their kids for content anyway. So it's almost like I almost can say, there's some positive things to this bill too, because there's a lot of crazy parents out there that are putting a camera in front of their kids and trying to make them all famous and parents need to just let their kids be raised up normally.
I think one of the big differences between the outdoor boys like you're showing us and the kinds of families that Jesse and I are thinking of, because I dive into a lot of family channel drama stuff on YouTube because I think it's interesting. And Outdoor Boys is, focused around the family, but it's not the kids that are the main focus. They're doing stuff. They're hunting. They're doing this, that, whatever. Mm-hmm. Family channels that I hate are the ones that are like imagine home videos of just pointing your camera at your kid, like taking steps, and then they're uploading that, and then they're like, this is the content. Look at my kid. I don't know. And then the one example that I showed you of the family of 4 is the name of the channel. I think that they've been taken down since then. But it's just a family that plays pranks on their kids, which parents will do sometimes. But this is like straight up emotional abuse. I showed you the video, and you can agree that it was not cool. It was.
Well, we got Andy, right?
Yeah.
Let's bring Andy into the conversation, another parent, and I guess new to content creation. How are you doing there, Andy?
Well, the host unmuted me, so I'm happy now. I was talking to myself. Thank you, Dawson. But first, can you imagine being that poor bastard on stage having to do the sign language for that transvestite guy dancing around?
I don't understand what he would even be doing at this point.
I mean, can you imagine, you wake up that day and you're going, okay, I'm going to do good. I'm going to translate for the hard of hearing. And you're like, all right, what am I doing? I got to translate a dude dancing around in underwear.
What is he doing? What? No, seriously, what is he? I don't get it.
I don't know.
It's got to be the music.
Is it the music? Oh, do we finally have video of Andy?
Yeah, we do finally have video of Andy. So I'm running 6 programs right now, Jake.
No, I'm not. Jeez, don't take offense to it.
I'm taking offense to it.
I think, listen, Dawson, I will have you running the show dials all the time. I just don't want you on a jury. Okay.
Neither do I.
Okay.
One time, I'll do it once, but then I'm.
By the way,
you're worried about Dawson on a jury when we got this poor guy translating trans dance. I don't know what you call it. But, I mean, I'm more concerned about the guy, Dawson, than I am you right now. You're a big guy. You can take care of yourself. But
I appreciate it.
He's getting big.
Imagine if you had to translate a transvestite dancing because that was your job. I mean, this is where we're at now.
But how is he I don't understand how he's translating the music because it wasn't like there was lyrics to the music. So what is he?
Well, the video's not here anymore, so I can't prove it. But I can tell you that I think the guy was getting into it a little bit. He was dancing around. So anyway.
Oh, that is a job. We should post. Do you think new Americans could get hired for that job?
Well, I don't know. Maybe if you had a degree, because you can get a degree in just about anything nowadays, including whiteness studies. And, I don't know. Pretty soon it's going to be like something crazy like, oh, I'm a PhD in economics, it's carbon footprint economics for PhD. That's what I have. Yeah.
Andy, I got to tell a story about you. Your degree was political science, right?
Yes, I majored in unemployment.
Okay, yeah. So you had a paper. I'll never forget this. Senior year, you had to turn in. It was you had to get 10 pages, and let's just say it delicately. You slacked on the paper, right?
Slacked on it. I bet you your audience can relate to me, but there were several times where it'd be 1 a.m. and somebody would walk up to me in the bar going, "Hey, Parrish, did you get that paper done?" I'm like, paper? What paper? Uh-oh. Then I went home and wrote a drunken paper.
Yes, and Courier knew size 12 or 13 font. I don't think they had wised up at that point. Yep. So literally, even using that technique, Andy still turned in a paper, and it was a paragraph, and I'm not making this up. Enter, paragraph, enter. It was like...
You get the job done, Jake.
Yeah.
It was like mostly white.
Get the job done.
Oh, and I remember as a left-wing professor, too, and I think they gave you like a plus on it. Like, he didn't believe in grades, so he just gave you a plus.
Well, I don't know. It identified as an A, so that was good enough for me. It's... Yeah. Who are they to judge me? That's not very affirming of them to give me anything less than an A. I need to be affirmed. I mean, I need academic affirming care.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, so I see at your home studio there, it is National Wine Day today at the Parrish household, which is January 1st to December 31st. So that's good. Happy National Wine Day.
Thank you.
I have to interrupt with Brad Ganser. He says, I want to celebrate National Wine Day with Andy.
Oh, there you go. I stole his joke. Sorry.
That would be a blast. I don't drink for many reasons. I can, so I always preface I can drink, but I choose not to, and I don't begrudge anybody that does. But I'm the kind of guy, when I start with 1, I go all the way to 15. I don't I don't have 2 or 3. And so once children started coming along, I thought probably better not to drink, but so I gave it up then. But
it made for a lot of fun excursions in college.
I would have a club soda with you while you drank, though, and I would encourage you to do things that I would have done back when I was in my
No, stop. We don't want Brad Ganser drinking at college anymore, right? No, Brad will get that joke. Let's go back to that failed candidate name you had on there, Brad. All right, so what do you think about this content creator bill?
Content
Andy.
creator bill. I doesn't affect me. I'm not.
We're
I'm
not
not in your state, Jake.
We're not. Well, I actually don't know. Does it impact them if their content's viewed in Minnesota? They got to be. I guess they got to be originally from Minnesota and
I'd imagine there's no jurisdiction.
You know, I wish I had a button that I could just hit that says God complex every time you talk about government in Minnesota, because I'm telling you, those folks in government, they think they're better than God, and they think this is why we are doing this. We know better than God, right? This gender affirming care. We know better than God. So we're going to make sure that we are better than God and you are what you want to be. And, you know, it comes down to all sorts of stuff. Now content creation. Now we're going to monitor what people are creating for media, what they're getting out there. That's insane.
Do you watch
God.
Do you watch YouTube channels with your children? Your children are a little older than mine.
Yeah, you know, my kids watch some of it. They're now getting into vinyl records, though. I've got teenagers, and so vinyl records are what they're into. YouTube isn't the thing anymore. It's more this InstaFace or
all right, go back. I know. Go back a couple of years ago, though. Were you watching channels with children on?
I was, yes,
right?
And it was very disturbing because YouTube would start off with something like, I'm going to watch a hamster run around in a circle, and then, you know, you might like this, you might like this, and by the time you know it, the kids are watching, you know, a midget perform abortion on the Capitol steps. I don't know. I mean, that's YouTube, man. It's dangerous. That's what it does.
I hope that video doesn't make it on YouTube, but of course they'll take our videos off. They'd keep something like that on YouTube. They'd take our videos off.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, I mean, you aren't the prettiest to look at, Jake. I mean,
Yeah,
you spend more time. You know what? Why don't you put MJ on the cover? I think if MJ were on, that's my new nickname for Mega Jesse, by the way, MJ. A shoe thing. So
MJ,
but if you put MJ
like
on
it.
there, yeah.
Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
how dare it?
Mega Jesse.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
What is? So do we have the video of Family of Five, Dawson?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we can.
No, you know what? Let's move on. I want to
if
get
it's
this
just
topic, and then we
bully.
got to do the after show here. If you want to join us in the after show, make sure that you're a subscriber. Hit the join button on the Rumble channel. We'll have an after
So
show.
I've got Jake for the after show. I have my electoral. So all jokes aside, I guess I'm pretty good at predicting elections and running them. I do have a breakdown of the Electoral College going back to 1976 that I'll be sharing. 1976, and talking about trends and talking about the blue wall and the destruction of the blue wall. So I'll shut up.
All right. Well, there we go. Look at that. Impromptu bringing him on the show, and now we get him as part of our OT for our paid subscribers. That's fantastic. All right. Two things I want to cover before we go to the OT. All right. We got an Otter Tail County update. All right. So you guys know that the state executive board voted to recommend to the Otter Tail County BPOU, which is basically the establishment there in Otter Tail County, to not have a convention. Then, and we discussed this with Mark Bashowski, Alex Plekish, another member of the state executive committee, made a motion that if they do have a convention, they must accept the 2024 delegates. Well, guess what? The Otter Tail County Board decided not to call for a convention. So basically, that second motion is irrelevant. However, I received a phone call last Friday, I think it was Friday, from Alex Plekish. I've never met the guy before. First time chatting with him. Actually seemed like a nice guy. Now, Jesse, you might take issue with that. But the guy actually wants to come on our show. He wants to set the record straight. So we're going to have him live in studio here on Thursday at 1 o'clock. You don't want to miss this thing. He's got something to say about how we presented the information about, well, actually how Mark Bashowski presented the information about what happened in the state exec committee. I think Mark was telling the
Is
truth.
Mark going to be here with him?
Mark's either going to be on Zoom or he's going to be here in studio. It depends on
nice,
Mark's
okay.
schedule. Mark's a busy guy these days. He's got a couple of jobs he's doing. So we're going to let that record come out. And the guy didn't have nice things to say about you there, Mega Jesse. I'm guessing.
Big surprise.
Yeah, big surprise.
Like,
It's
well,
MJ.
Hey,
it's
yeah.
MJ.
Hey,
No, it's
well, I
Mega
can't wait for
Jesse.
Thursday. I'm sure we'll have a lot to discuss.
All right, so there you go. Alex Plekesh, who's he's called the RNC committee man. So he's the guy that the Minnesota GOP sends to the Republican National Committee. By the way, you know what? I'll save it for the show. I have no idea this thing's going to go. The guy was very nice to me. I don't think he's going to be nice to Jess. He was nice to me. So it might be a fun show. I think he was sadly mistaken. I hope he just didn't get duped and he didn't see this coming. Although maybe I do hope that, because otherwise they'd have to subscribe malice to his move on the state executive meeting. And yeah, we'll get into that topic on Thursday right here, 1 o'clock. The other thing I want to talk about, and we're going to have to talk about most of this during the OT part of the show because we're trying to keep these to an hour, is Trump. Trump's been in the news as usual, but not so specific to Minnesota. Andy, did you know that Tom Emmer got the endorsement from Donald Trump this last weekend?
Oh God, really? I mean, really?
Hold on. There's not a Republican going against him, right? There's not a Republican primarying ever.
Yeah. Oh, yet that we know.
Not that I know of, right?
Well, I might know some things.
That's what happened to Tom? I mean, Tom in the Minnesota House was a rock star. He was a rock star conservative, and then he ran for governor, ran as a conservative, didn't work, and then all of a sudden he just went like crazy middle moderate. What happened?
What happened? You worked district. You worked on Capitol Hill. You know what happens to these guys, right?
I know.
They get the limelight. They like it, right?
Yeah, when they go out to Washington, they're a nobody. They can literally go down to Hardee's and get something to eat, and nobody knows who they are. And then they come home, and they're all of a sudden these rock stars.
Right.
And this goes back to, Jake, why I think we need to look at reapportionment again, that Congress hasn't changed its size since I think Hawaii was admitted to the Union at 435. It was George Washington who said that, they shouldn't exceed 30,000 so they could be as close to the people as possible. But the problem is that when you represent almost 800,000 people now, or 790, whatever it is, the problem is that you can afford to really piss off your base. You can afford to piss off the moderates, because what are they going to do? There are too many people. He has too many other people that are willing not to throw him out now. And so I think if you get back to that model of the representatives closer to the people, you're all of a sudden going to have more accountability, and people aren't going to be getting away with these moderate, terrible votes like they did on the budget and other stuff. So it's too big. I mean, our voices are drowned out. Say we're a few thousand people. Say we're 5,000 strong. Say we're 10,000 strong in a district. Out of 800,000, who cares? I mean, obviously it matters, but all of a sudden, if you're looking at 40,000 and you're 10,000 strong, now you matter.
Yeah. Well, let's get back to the politics of this, Andy. Trump didn't just stop at Tom Emmer. He also endorsed the whole slate of GOP in Minnesota. He went for Finstad, Pete Stauber, and his second endorsement of Michelle Fischbach, who has a legitimate challenge.
I'm still trying to figure out your problem with Fischbach. I mean, help me out here. Give me some votes in Congress that you've got a problem with.
Well, I'd say if I had to give you the most important vote, and I said this when they voted this way, and I still feel this way to today, you're a traitor to this country if you took our tax money and gave it to Ukraine. And she took that vote. Now, she's part of the cabal that has started voting the right way, but I'm sure if they really needed their vote, they would get her. But the fact that she voted to give my tax money, because we're April 9th, right? 6 days away from tax day. And I know you're like me, Andy, you don't like that tax day.
Crap. Yeah,
right? Exactly.
Tax day, right.
So, and you got to write that check if you didn't hit your estimated taxes the right way, and you already been paying in. And the idea that I got to do that, and I got to spend all this time, and this is nighttime usually for me, when I could be spending with my kids, to go comply with the federal tax code, and then those assholes take that money and give it to Ukraine. I got a big problem with that. So there's a good vote that I would have an issue with.
I have a huge problem with it too. I mean, they're going to make she's going to, I don't know. I don't know the vote, Jake. I have a problem with my money going to the Ukraine. I have a problem with my money going anywhere except for my pocket, frankly, because I'm the one who earned it. I have bigger problems when I hear politicians say, everyone's got to pay their fair share. Well, I mean, that assumes that everybody pays something. Let's start with the people who don't pay anything. And let's get them paying their fair share, and then we'll talk about mine. I mean, I'm with you on that. I don't know much about that vote, so I can't really opine on that. But overall, I guess I looked. I'm trying to find out what everyone's beef is with Michelle. I mean, there's that one vote, yes.
She's. I think we were just looking at a scorecard recently. She was a worse vote than even Tom Emmer when she was. So we don't rate U.S. congressmen. Action for Liberty rates state senators and state legislators. She was 50% with us. She was an F. Voting for omnibus bill. So we know how she voted in the Minnesota State Senate. She also ran with Tim Pelini against Jeff Johnson, against the endorsed candidate. So that usually tells you a little something about her.
Well, she also had that one resolution that was praising Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson for the COVID vaccine, saying these are the most incredible gift from, on God's earth to give us these vaccines that are going to save all of our lives. So, she's in bed with Big Pharma.
Yeah, I was actually trying to find that.
I don't have a problem with vaccines, Jesse. I have a problem with them being mandated, but I don't have a problem with vaccines. If
people
want to take a vaccine, great. But
hold on, Andy, do you have a problem with a politician saying they're safe and effective?
Well, if they're not qualified to answer that question, then yeah, clearly.
Well, that's what the resolution said.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, we shouldn't have to have a resolution saying something safe and effective. The doctors should be saying that. The free markets should be saying that. But we don't need resolutions. Now, I just pulled up, and again, I'm not a Fishbach apologist by any means. I don't really know what she's been doing since I've been in Minnesota, but I'm looking at her heritage score, heritage action. She's got a lifetime score of 96% with heritage. She's got a session score of 100. I don't know. I mean, I could be missing something. I could be wrong. I'll be open-minded about that.
I just told you what you're missing, the Ukraine vote. I bet Heritage didn't even vote on that one.
I bet they didn't. Let's see what they scored.
By the way, here, I'm going to send you. Oh, wait. Is this on her website? Hold on. No, I was looking. I'm trying to find this. Oh yeah, Michelle Fishbach actually has on her website. Introduce a resolution to protect the intellectual. Yeah, she's still bragging on her website. Today, U.S. Rep. Michelle Fishbach and Marionette Miller Meeks introduced a resolution to protect the intellectual property of COVID-19 vaccines. Mm-hmm. This resolution would express the sense of the House of Representatives. Hold on, did I misread that? This resolution would express the sense of the House of Representatives is that the U.S. should not waive IP rights relating to COVID-19 vaccines or treatments. Let me just read here. Waiving the intellectual property for these vaccines will not only upend our ongoing pandemic response domestically and abroad, it will also discourage innovation. Okay, let me find the resolution here because I'm going to find exactly what she said.
So just for comparison, Tom Emmer is a 64 lifetime with heritage. Let's see what Finstead is. Finstead's 100. Fishbach, I already said that. Let's see.
Here's right in the second paragraph of the resolution. Whereas building on decades of research and in conjunction with Operation Warp Speed, the United States pharmaceutical industry successfully developed 3 incredibly effective COVID-19 vaccines to date. I mean, it's just the propaganda. Here we go. Whereas these vaccines are the most respected, most sought-after vaccines in the world due to their exceptional efficacy and safety. It's just like you sound like a globalist when you say that bullshit. That's what my problem with these politicians during COVID is. They were like the best sales. They should have been getting a cut of the profits because they were great salesmen for the pharmaceutical companies that were lying to us. By the way, obviously not safe and effective. And by the way, this is actually, and I'll just send this to Dawson. You can put in the show notes. This is literally still on her website. Let's see here.
Razzle Dazzle says Emmer claims he's Minnesota State Chair for Trump campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Jesse? Line 16. This is right off of Michelle Fishbach's website. You can see still bragging about this resolution. I guess they just didn't want to delete it. So there you go. And it even links to it. So what does Michelle Fishbach have to say to the families of people that were injured or even died due to that vaccine? By the way, not even a vaccine. They lied. They actually changed the definition of vaccine. That wasn't even a vaccine.
Mm-hmm. And not to mention everything that's going on in Otter Tail right now that she has been completely silent on. Her own delegates, the people that are supposed to be, going to the Congressional District 7 convention, she doesn't give a rip about them. So if she doesn't care about the delegates, if she doesn't care about her own constituents, right. Why would these constituents ever support her?
I just bring?
By the way,
I'm not gonna.
No, hold on. I just want to get this across. Just in case you're like, oh, that was like December 2020, and we didn't know about the vaccine. This is June 17th of 2021. Like this was like half
a year and a half after.
This was already at people's second dose, past second dose of majority of people. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, I can just tell you from a congressional office standpoint. I mean, even Michelle had people that were upset with her in Bachman in the district for different things, and I always said, I mean, okay, well, this is the first I've heard from you, or I mean. I don't know enough. I just know Michelle from Fischbach from the Senate, and I'm not ready to jump on the Michelle Fischbach's a rhino train yet, especially looking at her scorecard here, her heritage score. She's going to take bad votes. Everyone's going to take a bad vote. Nobody's perfect. I don't want them to take bad votes, but they're going to. No, I'm looking, though, like Emmer. Yeah, he's
but hold on.
Andy, Stauber, 70.
Andy, you're the guy that says if someone's better, why not have them instead, right?
If they can win, yeah.
Yeah. You don't think Steve Boyd can win CD7?
Well, I think
it's CD7. It's where Colin Peterson runs as a constitutional conservative.
20 Summit. Peterson held it for how many years? Of course, Peterson was more conservative than Emmer is.
That's right.
Honestly, that's not a joke. I'm just saying by his votes and by what he did, it's clear he was more conservative.
Right.
So, I don't know. I mean. I guess I just don't have a spot on this one yet, Jake, and I know you do, so I'm not going to argue with you on it because it's your show and I respect your opinions, and I usually
it's my show. Wait. We don't argue on my show. This is the whole point of shows we can argue. I'm not offended. Look at you. You embrace the left-wing ideology nowadays. Oh, we gotta care about Jake's feelings. We can't have an argument. We have Alex Plackers coming on the show on Thursday.
Yeah, Jake, you got to calm down. You're a sensitive little thing, and it's very unbecoming of you to see you this upset. So,
do you remember
when Jake gets upset? Pan over to the young lady with the Stanley Cup. That'll.
I was scared what he was going to say there when he was stuttering on the young lady with the Stanley Cup.
Stanley.
So
Were you scared by that? I was like, what is he going to say?
Not scared. I wasn't.
This is Andy Parrish Unhinged.
I'm a father of two girls, a 14-year-old and a soon-to-be 13-year-old girl, and I see things differently now, and so I'm extra sensitive around young ladies for sure. I guess is the best way to say it, because I'm not a flaming liberal like Jake's going to claim, but man, as far as sports opportunities for my daughters and equipment and so on, the choices just aren't there. But,
isn't it interesting over the years, Andy, how many political conversations we've had and arguments and heated arguments? By the way, we probably see the world 90% the same way. Heated arguments. So, yep. And what do? We shake hands at the end of the day and still good friends. It's like,
hey, what was the best date you ever had, Jake?
I actually thought about that recently.
Yeah, it was our first date, I think, yeah.
We went to T-Wolves Game 5 against the Lakers. Was that 2004 or 2005? Yep. 2005.
2004.
No, it's 05. It would have been the 04 05 season.
Anyway,
yeah, it'd be 04 05
okay,
season.
Go on. Yep.
Well, I know you graduated a semester smarter than me.
And then we went and had a beer.
Oh, maybe it was 04 then. I don't know.
Then we went home, shook hands, went to separate bedrooms, and that was it.
There you go.
Did I ever tell you, by the way, that I accidentally had a boyfriend and I'm not gay? Did I ever tell you that story?
No.
All right, so we meet, and I'm new, right? I'm new in the area, and we meet. This guy's like, hey, I'll show you around. Okay, so we go out and shows me around. The next time, he's like, hey, let's go to this dinner place. I'm like, okay. We go to the dinner place. Third time we go, he's like, let's go to this place. And I look around, it's all men in the bar. I'm going, oh, God. This is the third date, and I'm not even gay. What's he expecting of me? I thought for sure, what is wrong with you? Pan over to the other woman. The MJ's looking.
Yeah.
I thought we were just buddies, but apparently not, and it was the third date, and, he thought I was going home with him that night. I was not, and that was it. So I accidentally had a gay boyfriend.
Is this a true story?
Yeah, it is a true story, unfortunately.
Hold on. Was this where you live now?
Yeah, I was with someone I work with, actually.
Oh, my God.
Yep, found out the hard way.
Most bars are only guys anyhow in that part of the state of Wisconsin.
Well, there are a lot of men over in the state of Wisconsin that go to the bars, yes. But, yeah.
My older sister almost went on a lesbian date.
Happen.
And
it can happen.
It can, and she did some stand-up, and so she talked about it. But she drives a Subaru. I go, well, Jenny, you were projecting. That's why.
Presenting. Isn't that what they said in the Animal Kingdom on South Park?
I guess.
He was presenting.
That's right. Projecting, presenting. Was it presenting? Is Brad really going back between failed
I don't know.
candidate?
Why is he using 2 names?
This is interesting.
He's
like
failed candidate. It says wholesome dating stories from Andy P. Riveting. And Brad says, keep your options open.
Hey, guys, you know what? To those guys listening there, first of all, apparently your audience likes me, which is weird, Jake. I don't get that. But,
No, we lost most of it by now, so.
Are we in the OT now, or are we?
No, we got to go to the OT.
Do I still need to behave?
You brought it so well, so I wanted to keep it going. So Thursday, for those that are not joining us in the OT, Thursday at 1 o'clock right here, we got Alex Plekesh, who's, I guess, going to probably debate Jesse at some point. This will be interesting. We'll see how it goes. And what else do I have? Thank you to our sponsors, John Galt Mortgage Company, Warren Wessel Realty, and Alpine Cabinetry. I'm going to read through the GOP asking us for money in the OT. We're going to get into Trump, my thoughts on Trump recently. Jesse and I might spar on this one. What else do we have to talk about in the OT? We had some interesting. Oh, more about the Alex Plekesh interview in the OT. So we're going to get that started within a couple minutes. Jump over to Rumble and click on the join button if you want to. Make sure you like and subscribe on this video, and we'll see the majority of you guys back here on Tuesday.